What's up guys, Josh Olfert back with another video, and the fastest I've ever seen someone grow from $0 to a six-figure investment portfolio was my client Austin. Now today I'm gonna have a conversation with Austin about how he did it and what we can learn. Time to think like an investor. Welcome back guys. So if you're new to the channel, my name is Josh and I run a company called Haven Wealth Management. We help people get invested in the stock market and learn about financial independence. But today I am with one of our most successful, one of our favorite, is that, I can't say that, can I? One of my favorite clients to work with, Austin Ridge. You like to golf, you like to have an adult beverage every now and then, you like to shoot the breeze with me, you like talking about money and investing. What more could I want? How's it going, man?
It's good. Yeah, I've been busy, so.
Yeah, right on. Well, hey, it's a blast to have you on. I've wanted to be doing this for a long time because the big story here is that Austin, you know, it's such a relatable story. And not to say what you've got is ordinary by any means, but when you go on YouTube and you see all these different videos of, oh, this person makes $1 million, this person has this much saved, there's some Forex trading, drop shipping scam artist who's doing this and that. Austin is an electrician. You're an electrician by trade.
Blue collar working guy, yeah.
That's right. So it's just, it's relatable. It's not one of these pie in the sky stories because a lot of us probably have a career or a life that is much more similar to myself or Austin's than someone who's making millions and millions of dollars on the internet doing whatever it might be. So today, I want to kind of talk with Austin about what he did to become so successful, because in our eyes, when you started, can you remember, like when we started investing together, I think we started from zero, or did we start with like 15 grand or something?
I think I had $4,000.
Yeah, marginally.
I came to you, I was making a lot of money.
Yeah.
I just started making a lot of money and I needed some solutions.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, Austin came in, we hit it off right away. He was a referral from a super good friend, and he built an investment account from pretty much zero to $150,000 over the course of 4 years.
3.5 years.
Yeah, and in addition to that, he's got real estate investments and he's got equity. And like, if we look at the total wealth in the portfolio, probably closer to $200,000. And you know, recently you got engaged, you bought a new house, you're building a new place, so lots of stuff happening. So super exciting to be here. But for me, like when I started investing, the thing that excited me most is that I didn't want to be like strapped into a job that I hated forever. I didn't want to I wanted to have freedom really. It wasn't necessarily about like making a ton more money. It was how can I control my time? And when I went down that rabbit hole, I found that it's all about entrepreneurship. It's more about investing than it is about, you know, trying to hit the next big thing or trying to hit the lottery. I want to know, Austin, like, what was it for you? What was the thing that actually got you started thinking about investing or getting started with any of that stuff? I'm curious.
Well, a lot of guys I work with, they're in their 30s and 40s and they're talking to me at work. Being an electrician and everything, we're talking about how they don't know how they're going to retire.
Okay.
And
how old do you say these guys are?
They were in their 30s, 40s, and I was probably 18, 19 at the time.
Crazy.
And yeah, they didn't know, and I just thought it was kind of crazy. I was like, how do you not know? Like, it's you got like 15 years. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, how are you gonna do it? So for me, that was a big one. Where I was like, I gotta get on this right now.
So for you, it wasn't so much. It was like a kick in the teeth that you got on the job. Like, whoa, these guys have probably made a bunch of money over the course of their careers, and now they find themselves 15, 20 years ahead of me with like nothing saved.
Yeah.
That's kind of where you're at.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, we gotta make sure we don't end up like these guys.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what their financial situations were exactly, but from the way they talked, and maybe they weren't talking about investments, and I don't know why we don't talk about investments. I don't know why people kind of shy away from that conversation because if you don't talk about it, no one really exactly knows what's going on.
Totally.
So
that's huge, man. Well, one thing that I find interesting with the clients that I have that are in trades is they'll whether they're on the rail or they're electricians or they're plumbers, they're always around a bunch of other trades guys, and they're all a lot of times shooting investment ideas around. Yeah. Like I've got a bunch of clients who work with a big railroad, and there's always some new thing. There's this. You know, this cannabis stock, or you know, I'm buying gold and putting it under the ground in my backyard because I think like the world's gonna end, and like there's this kind of community of guys who kind of talk shop about money or different. Have you seen that? Like, do you have some of that?
Tons. The cannabis one's hilarious because I think about three or 4 years ago. Yeah, right as soon as I started a new job with a new company, all these guys, they were making a lot of money and they were like, oh, we're throwing it all in weed. And I'm like,
all of it. We're throwing it all in.
Really? I'm like, that sounds crazy. Yeah. I'm like, I should do that. And then but we've talked about it lots, and like, it's one of those commodities. And think, looking back now, 3 years later, I don't think they're where they thought they were.
Ah, good point. Yeah, so, that's it, right? It all makes sense in retrospect, and like in the rearview mirror, everything's clear. But one thing I'm curious to know about is, what was standing in the way? Like, you realized, okay, I gotta kick my butt in gear and like get invested. What was the big roadblocks you found? What were some of the obstacles that you just like, you didn't know how to manage something, or didn't know where to go to get answers, or like what? Did you feel like it was a challenge, or was it relatively easy to just kind of get things moving?
I feel like when I came to you, it was pretty natural for, I kind of knew about everything. I knew about RSPs, I knew about TFSAs, I knew about all this stuff.
You weren't going in blind, yeah.
I didn't have the tools.
Sure.
I think I held my RSPs and my TFSA just at the bank.
Oh, okay,
It was making minimal, maybe 3% interest on the investment. So obviously that's not enough. I don't think.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to do a little bit better than 3%.
For sure. Yeah, if you want
to. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I guess what I'm really trying to ask is, if you had advice for people, or if you could give us some insight into how you were actually able to accumulate so fast and like save so much. Because it doesn't seem to me like you're like some crazy minimalist who like pinches pennies and like doesn't get a coffee and like only like buys the cheapest thing on the menu. Like, you still have a good lifestyle.
Yeah.
But you also found a way to accumulate a ton. So I'm curious, like, what are your thoughts for if you had advice for somebody?
Well, I went out and got a better job.
That's a good one.
First thing was increase the income instead of cutting back on everything else. And then saving with tax advantage accounts.
Right.
Everything. RSPs, maxing those out every year.
Right.
I save 10 to 15 grand a year on my taxes.
Yeah. And then you pump that back in.
Pump it right back in and keep building like that.
Right.
And then life insurance policy.
Yes.
Tax-free savings account.
Yes.
Everything I'm doing is tax advantage.
Yes. Everything you're doing is you're putting money in a place where it's out of the way of being taxed, and it's also growing and getting a return on it. And then, for instance, what Austin's talking about with this like RRSP thing, you get a massive tax deduction for putting money in like an RRSP or an IRA. Now, what happens is when you get a big check back from the government, you would take those, and every year we'd meet, and you'd reinvest the whole sum.
Oh yeah.
So it's like you had this little machine going. But I think the most interesting thing that you did, in my opinion, was you started with get a higher paying job.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people think about, where can I quickly and easily find some investment or something that will make me better off? Well, if you take some responsibility, the right answer to that question is just get a job that pays more, or get a job that you find more enjoyable. So it's interesting you started with that.
There was a lot of sacrifices with that as well. There's a lot of time that went into the other job, and a lot of time being away from home.
Right. A
lot of sacrifices.
You were on the road a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my next question for you is, let's say like the fact that you started investing and taking responsibility for this stuff and working towards this, how has this changed your life now? Or like, what position are you in now that you wouldn't have been had you not? Where are you now that you've invested? What are some of the things that you feel that you can do? What are the benefits of having like accumulated? Because I mean, we can talk about retirement and saving for that. What are some of the real life benefits that you have day by day from having taken some responsibility and started stocking money away and investing?
No stress.
Yeah.
No financial stress is a huge one.
Right. It's like you get a relatively big credit card bill and you're like, that sucks, but it's not the end of the world. Yeah. Or an emergency comes up, like the car breaks down, it's not the end of the world. It's like,
yeah, exactly. Okay. There's just no guessing when it comes to
right.
Or any restrictions of what I can and can't.
Right. So like there's not many restrictions on your lifestyle. If there's something you really want to do next year, like if you really want to travel somewhere,
yeah,
it's a sacrifice against your long-term investments, but you can do it. And it's not something you have to worry about. A lot of people look at investing for the first time and they think the only benefit this ever really gives me is that at 65 I can retire. And it's like, well, not necessarily, because 5 years out from when you start, you're gonna have enough money to feel secure. And then 10 years out, you're gonna have 6 figures worth of investments, and you can use that to pursue some project. It's not just the benefit at the end, is what I'm saying.
That 6 figures of investment is also making me 5 to 10 grand a year.
Right,
now.
right,
And
right,
that just adds to your income.
right.
And
100%.
I think it's very important. My friend and I were just talking about this the other day, how it's important to have more than one stream of income.
Absolutely, yeah.
And the way we were talking, we were thinking 7's the magic number.
7 is the magic number. Yeah, it's thrown around a lot. Like 7 streams of income is like the average number for like a millionaire or something like that, I've heard. And yeah, it's just generally a good idea to try to diversify your income streams. Like we diversify our investments, right? Because if one thing goes terribly wrong, we have other things to bolster it or that it will even do better and offset it. But if all of your life is, I think people are, I don't want to say waking up as if they were asleep, but I feel like people are starting to come around to this notion that maybe in the future, it's not going to be I'm going to work at one company for 40 years and then collect pension. It's going to be, okay, maybe I'm going to start a side hustle, or maybe I'm going to get involved in real estate, or maybe I'm going to start a business. It's so much easier to do these things than it used to be. So I think that's a really good point, is multiple streams of income and diversifying that way too. The last question for you is, do you think there has been any transformation in your character or the person you are because of the way you've managed money? You might think of it superficially, like, no, not really at all. And I'm okay with that answer. Or do you think there's ways that like, oh, being good with my money made me more like this, or made me a better person this way, or a worse person this way? Did it transform character at all?
I don't think so. I would like to think that I haven't really.
Right.
I don't change or
For
anything.
sure.
I kind of deal with everything the same.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've never really disclosed how much money I have or
Right.
made with other people.
For sure.
And I don't know if that changes their perspective.
Right. That's a good point.
It shouldn't.
It shouldn't.
But-
But man, it's tough. You know, what was this thing I heard? It was hilarious. It's like poor. You feel poor. Like the feeling of being poor is when your wife's sister's husband makes more than you.
Yeah.
Because if it's like your wife's sister, you know, you're there, and then like her husband's making a bunch more money. It's like, that doesn't feel good, because now there's this weird social dynamic, and
It shouldn't be like
it shouldn't be.
And I think that's a big thing that maybe we should try and change.
Yeah, for sure. So Austin, a lot of exciting things happening in your life. Just built a house, or you're starting to build a house. Just got engaged. Crazy. Tell them a little bit more about what you and I are going to have going on soon.
Yeah, you're going to be my boss. So
Yeah, it's
definitely interesting.
really
and, very excited.
Yeah, really exciting announcement is that Austin has just been a model client, and he's always been super interested in this kind of thing. And as Haven grows and the amount of you guys and other people who are excited to come to us for your investments and all that stuff, this isn't an ad. All I'm saying is we're starting to grow quite a bit, and Austin seemed like the perfect guy for the job who had been through it. Like, it's not like you're just going through and getting your licenses and doing the training and reading the books. You've done it.
Yeah.
Like, you've done it. So I think that that's a huge asset to someone who's a young advisor helping out young people, is that you've been there, you've done it, you know the struggles and the challenges and all those things. So we're super excited to have you. I wish you the best. When's the date? I mean, this could be getting a little too personal, but when's the date? Or do you guys have a date set?
Oh yeah, July 9th.
Crazy.
Yeah,
That's super
2022.
exciting. Oh,
We got lots
okay.
of
So
plans.
another one.
House comes first.
House,
and then marriage.
crazy.
And then, you know how that rhyme goes.
Absolutely, yeah. So best of luck with all that. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been a blast. Everybody, this is Austin, and it's been great learning a little bit more about the journey. So if you guys like videos like this, or you learned anything whatsoever, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on post notifications for more videos just like this one every single week. Until next time.